It is late, the moon shining brightly in the sky, illuminating the skeletal remains of the Americas village on the man-made planet of Vita Nova. While the night air hung thick and heavy surrounding the well-worn tents, frantic, whispered words cut through like a knife. Mathius emerges from his tent, dressed in his orange and gray ceremonial robe. A man of middling age and every graying hair, he carries himself with a haughty pride as he stalks away towards the fragile wooden church in the middle of the circle of tents.
I wouldn't stand for it. Science be damned! What put us in this destruction in the first place?
Blaze, a young and sallow man, bolts out of the tent behind Mathius, holding the fragments of his glasses in his worn and tattered overcoat. A small cut on his cheek bleeds freely as he attempts to catch up to Mathius.
Do not follow me, blasphemer! I must cleanse myself of these wretched lies you have tried to stain my ears with.
Sir, your worship, I need you to listen. This place is not...
Speak not!
The levels are too high. Your followers are in danger of...
Mathius turns on his heels, stopping Blaze dead in his tracks and grabbing the front of his shirt tightly.
Silence! This place is sacred! Spare us your theatrics and fear-weaving. I shall not have you driving my people out from his lord's holy place.
Mathius throws Blaze to the ground, the pieces of his glasses scattering around him as he gazes up at Mathius, trembling. Mathius kneels beside Blaze, looking around the quiet village furtively, before leaning in close to his ear.
Leave this place, and let me never set eyes upon you again. If I do, you can be certain I will not be so merciful again.
Mathius rises and continues his walk towards the chapel, leaving Blaze behind, crumpled in the dusty path. On the other side of the circle of tents, a frail figure watches as Blaze fights back tears, searching about him for the remains of his glasses, placing each piece in his pocket before stealing away from the village as quietly as he could. Once he has fled, the figure emerges to reveal Trinity, a homely young woman in a light pink smock. Wary of her surroundings, Trinity sprints away around the circle of tents until she comes to Mathias's. With one last furtive look about, she ducks inside. Inside Mathias's tent, Trinity holds her breath as she tiptoes her way across the gaudily adorned tent. Scattered across the floor amongst pillows and baskets of food are a dozen or so women sleeping in gray uniform sleeping bags, with one large wooden-framed bed in the back at the center, a woman curled up on top of the sheets. Trinity weaves her way around the sleeping women until she has reached the bed, her eyes peeled for any sign of movement. The woman in the bed, Arion, senses someone moving and bolts upright. Trinity holds out her hands as a peace offering, and Arion relaxes.
Is it time?
Trinity nods. Arion slips out of the bed and takes Trinity's hand, allowing herself to be carefully led from the room of sleeping women. Arion takes one look back at the room behind her before resolutely following Trinity out into the night.
Where did you leave your bag?
It's out a ways, near the pit. You sure you weren't seen?
I promise.
You realize he could kill us both for this. There's no going back.
What life would we return to, Arion? If we leave, we are doomed, but if we stay, well, we're doomed anyway, right?
Arion gives Trinity a small, weak smile of agreement. Trinity holds her tightly for a moment, a tear leaking from the corner of her eye, then continues pulling her along past the row of tents and into the empty darkness of the night. In Blaze's laboratory, the sunlight of the next morning is strung hazily through the partially boarded-up windows. He had spent a restless night trying to make peace with the encounter he had with Mathius. The pieces of his glasses lay carefully placed on a small steel table in the back of the room, under which was a brightly colored quilt and pillow, carelessly crumpled to the corner. On the other side of the room, squinting at the numbers and dials of his kettle, Blaze struggled to keep himself upright as he finally pressed the magic combination and a soft beep sounded from the small silver pot. His satisfaction was cut short by a fervent knocking at the door.
Jesus Christ.
Blaze took hold of the closest piece of silverware nearby and edged his way against the wall to the door. The knocking persisted. He could feel the sweat gathering on his brow and forced himself to take slow, even breaths. He reached the door and silently inched his hand towards the knob. His other hand clutched his weapon tight, and he had nearly worked up the courage to throw open the door when he heard voices from the other side.
Maybe you misread. No one's here.
No, this is it. I'd bet my bread on it.
Curiosity overcoming fear, Blaze opened the door and faced the two bewildered women standing just outside. They took a frightened step backwards, giving Blaze an instant pang of guilt and embarrassment.
Can I help you?
A loud horn billowed through the air. Trinity and Arion looked to each other with fear. In that moment, Blaze realized where they had come from and the danger they were all in.
Get in, now!
The women rushed inside, Blaze locking the door firmly behind them before making a quick circle of the room, turning off lights and extinguishing candles until the only light remaining was that of the streams of sunlight peering through the boards.
What is this? You shouldn't have come here.
I'm sorry, sir. We just had to see you.
Who are you? How did you find me?
You're the man who's been spying on our village.
What? Spying? I was not.
It's okay. We're used to that.
Were you followed here?
I don't think so.
The horn sounded. They will have just realized we're missing.
Great. They're giving me all 25 minutes to clear out of here. Wonderful.
Blaze feels his way about the room, pulling a small suitcase out from a shelf by the door. He opens it and begins flitting around the room, grabbing what he can find and placing it in the suitcase. Arion, frozen in fear, looks to Trinity and finds her friend about to boil over with anger.
Look, I am sorry we intruded, but we have to talk to you. We've risked everything to see you.
You risked? What did you risk? A slap on the wrist? If that lunatic sees me here, especially with you two, I'm a dead man.
They won't find you. They have no reason to think we would chase after you.
No, but they probably think I have reason to take you.
Take us?
What? Why would they think that?
Blaze stops in his tracks, his face grave and fearful as he turns to look Trinity in the eye.
You know what I've been doing around your village? Do you know how I was there last night?
Why?
Have you noticed anything strange recently? Feeling sluggish, dazed, out of breath?
Arion and Trinity looked at each other, a creeping dread crossing their faces. This was all of the confirmation that Blaze needed to continue on, pacing about the room as he continued to pack his suitcase.
It's not just you getting sick. Well, not to say you aren't getting sick. You are, or you were, or you still could.
Viridian mortem.
A cold chill ran up Blaze's spine as he froze where he stood. He felt his breath shorten and his heart pound in his chest.
How did you know?
The two women stood silent. Trinity moved back to Arion's side, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Arion's face shone in the darkness, her eyes flooded with understanding.
It was coming for us, wasn't it?
It's not coming for you. It is here. Already. That's why I entered your village last night, to warn Mathius. If you stay, you are all in grave danger.
They'll be looking for us all then.
We have to go then, now.
Whoa. Hold on there just a minute. You said you are all coming with? You can't just invite yourselves into...
There will be plenty of time to explain later. For now, we need to move.
No. You don't get to just come in here and dictate.
Another blare of the horn is heard, this time sounding much, much closer. Blaze's face grows pale, and he realizes with a sick horror that he is out of options.
Turn off that kettle. I'll grab my bag. We go now.
Blaze dashes to the table and crams his suitcase shut. Arion clutches her bag tightly as Trinity crosses to the steaming kettle with a frantic uncertainty. She picks it up around the middle, not realizing the heat until too late. She lets out a small scream as it burns her hands, dropping the kettle with a loud clatter. Blaze is by her side in a heartbeat, putting a firm hand over Trinity's mouth to stifle any further noise. Trinity's eyes flood with tears as she nods. Blaze lets go of Trinity, hoisting his bag up to under the crook of his arm, and leads the way to a small door in the back of the laboratory. Unlocking it, he pushes the door open and ushers Arian and Trinity outside to safety. It is not 20 minutes later when Mathius and several figures in gray robes arrive to the outside of Blaze's hideaway. Mathius dons a blood-red robe and carries with him a large walking staff. The figures move swiftly, surrounding the building as Mathius saunters up towards the front door. Though his followers attempt to peer through the mostly covered windows, he realizes that they are too little too late. He looks out to the surrounding buildings, his eyes glazed over in deep thought. Two of the robed figures approach him, kneeling once they are within arm's length. Mathius waves his staff over them, then taps the end to the ground. The figures remain kneeling, their faces cast downwards to Mathias's feet.
My lord, I fear the building is deserted.
Is there any sign that they had been here?
Yes, we believe so. It could not have been long ago.
So we can't waste any more time then. Gather the League, we must go now.
With all due respect, your lordship, perhaps it would not be necessary for the entire League to remain on the hunt. After all, it is only two...
You question the importance of this mission, Minister?
No, my lord.
Never, my lord. We understand the importance of the young maiden's return.
I should hope so. Now, gather the others. We can't let him gain more time on us. Remember, their lives are at stake.
The two keep their gaze low as they rise, bowing deeply to Mathius before filing off towards the others. Mathius looks back towards the village, a spark of anger in his eye, as he clutches his staff tightly.
You cannot outrun your fate, Arian. May our Maker be witness. Your father will bring you home.